Welcome to PatsCast, the unofficial Regina Pats podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
I'm Kevin.
And this is our preseason episode for August 28th, 2021.
I'm Peter Lamartius. You're listening to PatsCast with Matt and Chris.
Well, gentlemen, it is nice to speak to you again. It's been a while here. How was your summer, Kevin?
Can't complain too much.
Yeah. Excited to get back in the rink here soon?
Over the summer, it just didn't really pique my interest, but it's getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there was some hot days in the summer, and hockey was kind of the farthest thing from our minds, but things are cooling down outside, and hockey is starting to heat up. So this is our preseason episode, like I said. So we're going to focus mostly on the things that happened in the off season. We'll get back together after camp that's coming up here soon and talk a little bit more about roster-specific things, but probably a little bit too much up in the air right now to get too in-depth on the roster. But let's take a look at some of the changes that have happened since the end of the Sub-Hub East Division. The Pats finished a record of 9-12-2-1, playing 24 games, of course. 76 goals for, 96 goals against, and we're second in penalty minutes in the East Hub here. So let's start off with some of the signings, the changes of our roster. Probably the biggest one that I would think is the recent signing of Zach Stringer out of Lethbridge. Gave up a first-round pick for him. He's a former first-round pick with Lethbridge. What's your feeling on that one, Chris?
I haven't seen him play a ton, obviously. We didn't see any of the Central Division last year, but I kind of thought maybe he's a little much. He's going to be 18 this year, so last year shortened season was his 17-year-old season, so 16 before that, so almost a full season there. So you don't really know what he is. I was thinking, no, maybe he is a second-round pick. A couple guys out of the Central Division said, yeah, they probably thought maybe more of a second-round pick for him. But, I mean, he's obviously got potential, and, you know, I'm sure he's going to get a chance at Bedard, and if anybody can help him unlock that potential, that would be Bedard.
Right. So 5 goals, 9 assists in those 23 games. We know it was kind of a funny season, though. I agree with you. It feels a little bit like a first round might be a lot to give up for him, mostly because it's just not, I don't know, I always kind of get the feeling from John Paddock, he's more of a Moneyball kind of guy and really tries to get the best of the trade. So maybe I just have to trust that instinct and still think that we got the best of this trade. Kevin, do you have anything to say about Zach Stringer coming over?
I think he has every opportunity to show any kind of potential, whatever he has, to show it with Connor Bedard. I'm sure he'll get every opportunity to play on his wing, and I think he could light it up. From what I've heard, when he was younger, he was a goal scorer. So hey,
Right.
Give him a chance.
We need all the goal scoring we can get, right?
Exactly. I think that's one of the things we noticed when Bedard left was goal production went way down. I think with the stats, we were down about a goal a game after he left. And that secondary scoring is definitely something that was needed. So overall, I mean, we can argue whether it was too high of a price to pay, but I guess time will tell with that. Another signing, kind of addressing maybe a potential problem with the Pats. We'll get into this maybe a little bit further when camp comes up and we get closer to having a final roster, but see how all that shakes out. Keegan Maddox out of Victoria, 18-year-old goaltender coming in to help inexperienced goaltender core, to say the least.
He doesn't bring much experience, though, so I don't know.
Yeah.
He's the least experienced of the three.
I
exactly,
suppose,
right?
yeah.
So
it's we could go on a little while about that. It is an interesting situation in the Pats net, to say the least. Not a lot of games. What is it? 8 games, Chris?
yeah, I think it's 8 total between the 3 of them.
Yeah. So that was something the Pats kind of had dialed in when we had Paddock here. It was always just wasn't really a question. He was the goaltender, and as maybe who his backup was, but now that's a bit of a question mark. So someone brought in maybe to help during camp and see how that goes, and if any of these guys make a push.
Just for depth, right? Like, they only had 2 guys signed, so like somebody gets hurt, who's your backup?
Yeah,
you gotta
exactly.
have a third goalie, right?
Zamboni driver.
Even if he's not pushing for the starter's job, you gotta have somebody in the wings for situations.
Totally. Yeah, so still a question mark there. We'll see how that plays out over the next month or so in preseason and camp. Another signing was Luke Bateman out of Seattle with the Thunderbirds, bringing a little bit more age to what's a young, at least last year was a young defensive team. We didn't really get to see too much about him. I don't know a lot of them. Do you guys have any insight on Bateman?
He's
Nothing.
big.
He's big.
Very big. 6'6", 220.
That is big.
He's big.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good to see. The grit of the team, if there's someone there that can be... I mean, hockey's getting away from that enforcer role, but if you got a superstar on the team, you might need a little bit of size out there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He'll probably help on penalty kill and stuff, like a big shutdown defenseman.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of size per se on the back end, right? Like he almost will take kind of Walker's spot kind of thing, right?
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah, that's a big hole to fill, so hopefully someone that can do that. The local signing out of Braden Barnett with the Pat Canadians.
We got him. He's a 17-year-old this year.
17 this year, so should have some opportunity to play as well. We'll get to see him. And probably the biggest signing out of all of them, someone that was a Hail Mary. Like, we did not think this was going to happen, especially when the NHL draft came through. But Svozil with the Columbus Blue Jackets now. So really an impact player. And it's hard to argue that this doesn't have something to do with Connor Bedard being here.
Well, it could be because of the Blue Jackets pushed him this way. You never know.
I don't know if Columbus has either an E or an A affiliate.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, yeah. They'll have an A in East Coast as well.
Yeah.
So,
but
I mean, he could have stayed in Europe as well. You never know.
Kevin, any insight or feelings about that signing?
It's gonna help the defense for sure. With who knows, with Riker Evans, he may or may not go pro because he's going to be 20. He might end up in Seattle's farm system somewhere. He'll help for sure.
Do they have their own AHL affiliate at the moment, or are they splitting it?
As far as I know, I think they're splitting it. I don't think they have a team yet.
Yeah, so that may be a long shot then to go to the AHL this year.
Yeah, never know. With how the last year and a half has been, you never know.
Exactly, right? And we still do have 420s, so you never know, right?
Yeah.
That was something that hadn't crossed my mind, actually, is Riker Evans moving up.
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind either.
That's too bad. Was that draft pick a bit of a surprise to you guys? It was a little bit to me, being that high. I mean, 35th overall, second round to the Kraken.
I thought the spot was surprising. Not getting drafted wasn't surprising, I don't think. Yeah. I mean, he did get passed over before, and guys do get picked, a year or two later.
I didn't expect it. I turned on the draft, and he's drafted. I'm like, what's going on? I'm happy for him, 100% happy for him, but I was like, whoa.
Great.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the import draft came and went as well. We had a few picks there. Now, it's kind of funny. Now we have essentially 3 import draft picks, right? So we were talking a little bit about how that happens. Chris, you were mentioning maybe a rule.
A first round NHL pick, you could pick 2 more.
Okay.
In a normal year, but since the NHL draft happened after the import draft, I think I don't know what the rules are.
Everything's a little crazy
never
this
tell us
year.
What the rules are.
Everything's a little backwards.
We picked 2 anyways.
We picked 2. We picked Joachim Kemmel out of Finland and Alexander Zudulev out of. So he's out of Russia, but he has a Sweden flag on his draft card.
He's playing in Sweden, so he might have some.
And Kevin, you were mentioning a tie to Connor Bedard with him.
Yeah, when Bedard went over to Sweden, he was playing on the same team, apparently. So
okay,
maybe there's a connection there.
Maybe they can try and lure him over. Yeah,
lure him over. Yeah,
lure him over. Did I get all the signings here, fellas? Anyone else?
Still, Durkach joined the scouting crew.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
early August. He joined the staff.
Good for him.
Yeah, that's one of the staff changes. Yeah. So he was scouting for Toronto. So he was at probably most games back when we could go to games a couple years ago there, seeing him quite often.
So speaking of staff changes, quite a few with the Pats organization in the offseason as well. The first being the COO, Trevor Boonhai, coming in. Big shoes to fill with the play-by-play. Phil the Thrill, of course, gone. Kind of came back. I think he did a favor last year for the team because he wasn't supposed to be back last year, but came back and did the shortened season. But I want to welcome Dante DeCaria. So he's from down east, Haven't got to listen to any of his calls. It sounds like he's mostly a baseball guy. That's kind of his main sport. But from his Twitter release and press release and everything, it sounds like he's really excited to be here in the Queen City calling hockey.
Yeah, interesting. He's I think he's out of Ontario, and he went down to the States to do some minor league baseball with the Jays affiliate, Lansing. So, and he's traveled around.
Great. And then Nathan Cantor, the manager of digital media and fan and community engagement. Gavin D'Souza, manager of game day experience. Now that's something I want to talk about, the game day experience. Something we haven't got to experience in a while, but you think there's going to be any changes there? What would you guys like to see for game day experience changes?
I just want to be able to go to the rink.
That's the change enough for you?
Yeah, I mean, whatever happens at the rink happens.
We'll get into it in the next topic, but whatever. I was just going to say kids tickets, but anyways, we'll move on. The last addition that I have here is Amy Kerr, the assistant business operations. So, anyways, we already kind of just touched on it, but the ticket changes was a big hot topic in the Pats community. So they didn't officially raise prices, but they reclassified where you were sitting. So Kevin, you're in a gold, so they can't make you, well, unless I don't want to give them any ideas, but they didn't make you platinum.
No,
So-
I never got emails or anything saying that I have to charge or pay any more money or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
You're wondering.
I didn't know anything about it until I saw it on the Facebook.
Yeah, and then you probably saw the drama going on. So essentially, what they did is they reclassified bronze, a bunch of bronze into silver. Pretty much eliminated bronze. There's like a few rows, and then the front row that's obscured view, right? There's not a lot.
Yeah,
not a
the
lot
front
of
row's
bronze.
pretty rough.
That's
Did you come to that game? Yeah, we sat front row.
Some of those
that one
playoff
time in
games
the
we
playoffs.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
they're
great. But
they're not great.
We were in the building for the 17 playoff run there, so that's all that mattered.
Exactly.
But some seats did go from bronze to gold.
I think you're right. And if anyone can clarify for us, but we think 214 went from bronze to gold, which is
and then whatever's
steep,
on the other side as well.
kind of like its mirrored section. Yeah.
So that's a steep increase, because that goes from, we were paying $360 to gold $650, I think it was.
Yeah, $650.
So
So you go from $360 to $650. That is a steep increase without a warning or anything. And them saying, "Oh, we're not raising ticket prices," so them just reclassifying. That's kind of
it was pretty. I wasn't impressed. Just how they handled it, especially since we already rolled over and everything was done. You rolled over, you're good. You paid last year. We've had your money. We'll just roll it over. But they said, like, that's it. You're good to go. And then, like, a few weeks before the season starts, your seats changed. You can either move up to, like, the garbage seats, like way back.
To stay in bronze.
Yeah, like in the parking lot. Or pay more money. And you're like, okay. Now I tweeted out today, I did go through and I looked at all the prices of season tickets in the WHL, and we're still really cheap. Like there's no argument. Like they probably are justified, and I'm not upset about that. It's the way they did it.
I'm not surprised that, obviously, coming out of last year, and not surprised ticket prices are going up, but just the way they handled it was just poor.
It was not a good look. It only took about a week before they rescinded on it.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that they did it pretty quick.
I'm surprised they did it, because whatever. They're going to increase, so I guess prepare for it. At least next year they will be.
And I wonder what actual season ticket prices are going to be for, say, new season ticket holders this year, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious what the single game tickets are going to cost.
That too, right?
Yep. And now it's something that I've been looking at now that I have a kid. I've been bringing my child. Now he's going to be 4 going into 5. Like
so he probably
warrants a seat, right? I haven't paid for him yet. no one's ever said anything, but you can't buy a kid's ticket either, right? It's just general admission. You can't buy a senior's ticket. There's not a kid's ticket. And that's one thing I'm like, to be honest, the only reason you bring like a 5-year-old is so you can go. And he sits there and he watches somebody, eats mini donuts. He maybe goes on the tablet for the rest of the game, right? Like it's so I can go. And to pay now what? Like we don't know what single game tickets are. 20 could be up to $24, $25 is, I don't know. I mean, if that's what I mean, we're talking about game day experience, and they've tried to build kind of that family atmosphere for a while, it feels like, and like more of an entertainment family thing. It seems to be a part that's missing, in my opinion.
That's the choice they made, going to this gold, silver, bronze structure rather than adult, senior, student, child pricing.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it is what it is, but when I was going through this season ticket thing, some of the kids' season tickets are like laughably cheap. We're talking like $100 for a season.
Right, so you can have him sit beside you all season for $100.
Right. Because to be honest, like now I have 2 kids. It's like, I don't know how many games I can actually go to. And if I can bring one, then that kind of opens up, that that discussion a little bit more. But nice to see. It was a hot topic. People were pretty upset.
That's definitely.
I don't think it was necessarily the price increase, because it's not an unfair price, but it's just how it was done, in my opinion. Moving on, those not going to the game, there might be a little glimmer of hope if you don't go with the CHL TV package, which I'm assuming is still around. Like I went on the website a couple of days ago to see if they had a package or anything available yet, and they do not. But it's there. Like they haven't. It's still active, and they're showing CHL scores. So I'm hoping it'll come along here at some point. It
should be. I mean, it was pretty late notice last year when they brought in the new streaming service for last season.
So nothing on that, but there is some news coming out of TSN RDS, a 30-game CHL deal. So that's CHL, not just WHL. So it's not a lot, but I guess it's something to get on the main networks, some coverage.
Because Sportsnet's coverage really dwindled over these last few seasons, other than obviously the Memorial Cup, the coverage was always good for Memorial Cup, but it was like 10, maybe 15 games in the back half of the season, once a week, right?
Yeah. Now Sportsnet still with the Memorial Cup?
No, TSN takes it all over.
It's like it's not a mix; it's totally done with Sportsnet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sportsnet's contract was through 25-26 season, so that's interesting that they obviously worked out a deal to get out of that contract and over to TSN. Okay.
Now knowing TSN, they seem to be kind of more Ontario-centric, so maybe we'll see what the games. They haven't released the coverage, and it's still only 30 games from the entire CHL, so it's nice to see.
With having Bedard, I think
you're
at
right.
least one Pats game.
Yeah, you're right.
You got to have some sort of draw, right?
For games that aren't on TV and we do get to see live, the schedule was released a while ago now. Kind of interesting though, right? It's just Alberta and Saskatchewan, Manitoba on our schedule. So lots of playing the same teams over and over. I didn't count up how many we play against, say, Moose Jaw and some of our rivals, but it's quite a few. I know this is COVID related, right? Just trying to avoid that travel out to BC and obviously the States. So they won't be coming here and we're not going there. It's better to expand out of that East hub that we had, get some Alberta teams in there. Any insights about that, Chris?
Not really. I mean, as long as we can play some hockey, doesn't really matter who we're playing. I mean,
what do you feel about not seeing those teams though?
I mean, okay, we only see half. We only physically see half of them here.
I suppose,
right?
Yeah.
And then we only go to the other half once. So you play a team once. Are you really playing them, right? Like, you don't really get a feel for that other conference at all, I don't think.
It's always been the neat part about the WHL coming together to get the champion is like teams that don't really know each other coming together, and you get to kind of see how they stand up against each other. And if we do get to a WHL final this year, it'll be definitely that. Teams that have no idea. It won't really have that comparison, but
I mean, obviously, pre-scouting, and video is a lot more common these days. But it's almost like two leagues, right? Like, the winner of the East and the winner of the West play each other,
like old school World Series.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I just did a quick look at the schedule. The Pats play Brandon 7 times, 4 home, 3 road. Moose Jaw, they play them 10 times. PA 8, Saskatoon 6, Winnipeg 7, 3 home, 4 road. Calgary 6 times, Edmonton 4, Lethbridge 6, Medicine Hat 4, and Red Deer 4, and Swift Current 6.
Okay.
10 against Moose Jaw?
10 against Moose Jaw.
Those are going to be some fiery games.
Drum Man.
Drum Man will be out.
And there'll be 2 home and homes again, December 17, 18, and January 29 and 30.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up. That's a nice topic to leave it on, is playing Moose Jaw 10 times, which will be a ton of fun. And looking forward to that. Looking forward to camp coming up this week. And we will be back after that, and probably after a couple of preseason games, and when things start to kind of solidify up, we will have a preseason episode. Any parting words there, Chris?
No, just excited to see some hockey again.
Okay.
Maybe get back in the rink.
Absolutely. And Kevin, what say you?
I can't wait to get back in the rink as well. It's gonna be something to actually see other people in the rink other than what we had at the hub.
True. Yeah, that's true.
It's going to be great. It's going to be good to see everyone, and we will see you at the rink.